Hello, y'all, and welcome back. So we're addressing the question that one might raise of a Pyrrhonian skeptic. How do you get to no beliefs? How do you get your mind into this state? And we've seen that the Pyrrhonian skeptic gets there through constant training in particular to balance potential beliefs with counterbalancing beliefs on the other side. Bits of evidence, arguments, data, but also convincing themselves that the basic desire we have to form beliefs on the basis of appearance is going too deep too fast. That really what you need to say is that's just how it appears with visual and color perception and other kinds of sensory perception. This, I say, is the skeptic ability to create equivalence or balance between competing arguments and appearances. Now, once you've achieved that, you necessarily achieve the second step or stage, which they call suspension of judgment. So again, think of the visual of a pan scale, okay? Two sides equally balanced. To suspend is to prevent from coming down. So suspenders prevent your pants from coming down. A suspension bridge keeps the bridge from coming down over the water or the roadway or whatever. And so if your judgment is suspended, it means you don't come down, quite literally. I mean, following the English idiom, come down, as in, form a belief. But you don't come down on either side of any question or issue. And again, this isn't just big issues, although the first place that we reach is religious or political or kind of hot button stuff. Any belief could potentially endanger your tranquility. You cannot allow yourself to start forming even very small and ostensibly insignificant beliefs, because if you allow your mind to do that, it gets in the habit, then you're forming beliefs all the time, and then your tranquility is threatened. So the first step is equivalence. This is an ability that you form to create this at all times. It requires lots of research, dialectical training. The second step is suspension of judgment, where you're not coming down on either issue. And the third stage, it's not really right to call it a step, is just tranquility or ataraxia. The skeptics say that tranquility follows suspension of judgment immediately. They say, like a shadow follows a man on a sunny day. So it's not the case that the sun hits the guy and then, after a second, bam, there's the shadow. It's just sun, bam, shadow. In the same way, suspension of judgment, boom, immediately you have this tranquility. So it's not that you stop caring, it's that you lose your ability to care. With no belief, you don't have the ability to get heated. There's no fuel there for the fire, is the basic idea. So you might say, okay, I get it, that you could train yourself to have this balanced neutrality on every issue. Hold back from forming judgment that things are the way that they appear. Cultivate this balance between competing arguments on every issue. But you might say there's a much more substantial question here that we have to pose to the skeptic, which is how on earth do you live that way? You require belief for literally everything you do. I wouldn't get out of bed if I didn't believe that I had class to go to. I wouldn't, get dressed if I didn't believe that that was like an important part of being accepted socially. I wouldn't, drive my car if I didn't believe my car was there, that you drive in a certain way forever, on and on. And even if you could do this, you wouldn't believe that you need to stop at like a red light, and you could get away with this for like a little while, I guess, but sooner or later, probably sooner, you get T-boned by a semi just going through an intersection, you die. I mean, it's dark, but just sort of real, right? So you wouldn't live very long, and while you did live, you wouldn't get much done. So how do you live with no beliefs? Now, this seems like a much weightier objection, but the speed and dexterity with which the skeptics disarm the objection shows, I think, the real depth of how clever they are and how carefully they've thought this through. Because the skeptic response is not only can you live with no beliefs, but you are already pretty much doing it. So the first key, there's going to be 3 keys to living life with no beliefs. I mean, Sextus lists like 4 or 5, but they can be reduced to 3. Is habit. So living life on autopilot habitually. So little trivia question for you here, okay? According to the psychologists, what percentage of human life, not your life, but human life, is lived habitually, according to habit, autopilot, no occurrent thought at all? Okay? So I'm going to tell you the statistics. Stick with me for a second, because you're not going to like it, but stick with me. So what psychology tells us is that between 45 and 95% of human life is habitual, lived according to habit. As I said, stick with me. You're not going to like that. You say that's 50 percentage points. That's insane. That's just not a useful statistic in any way if it's that, big a range. But if you sit with it for a second, it's kind of incredible what this statistic is telling you. So the first thing you have to get your mind around is the extraordinarily large number of ways that there are to live life as a human being. Okay? So as I record this, I have in my own family, my immediate family, mind you now, not extended family, people whose idea of like a really fun evening is going out to like a nice French restaurant for a 5-course meal and then treating themselves to like a 3-hour Bach B minor mass. They pay money to do this. If somebody forced me to do that for like a half a day or something like that, I would say, why are you doing this to me? Why are you punishing me like this? Like, did I hurt your family? Like, that's like the last thing that I would want to do with an evening. And yet there are people in my own family that choose to do this for fun. Okay? There are people in the city of San Antonio who voluntarily spend their days doing things which, if you had to do these things for 2 hours, would drive you mad. And that's just the city of San Antonio. The point I'm making is there is an unimaginably large range of ways to live life as a human being. Human reason can think up and invent almost indefinitely many ways to live life as a human being. And what this statistic is saying is, in the enormous scope of that range, if you are the kind of person who makes a point of having no habits, if you say, I will wear different clothing every day, I will travel to a different place every day, I will eat different food, I will talk to different people, I will do different things for my profession, if you employ human reason as much as you can, to have as few habits as you can, have as much spontaneity and variety as possible in your life, you will never succeed in having a life that is less than 45% habit. That is, almost half of your life will still be run on autopilot with no occurrent thought at all. That's as low as you can go. And if you're like many of us, like myself, where you kind of go the same places every day and you kind of see the same people and you kind of wear the same clothes, eat the same food, then very easily you can slip into a life that is 95%, so 19/20ths habit, run on autopilot with no occurrent thought at all. Many of you that are watching this drove a car today. I drove a car today. But at no point in your journey, I guarantee this, I haven't spoken with you, it doesn't matter, did you ever say, lo, a red octagonal sign, I will therefore use my right leg to depress the left-hand pedal of my car to bring my motor vehicle to a stop in accordance with state and local ordinance. You didn't say that. You just did it. All day long, you just act. You just do, you act all day long, and you don't need belief, actually, to do any of this stuff. Say the skeptics. Belief is this unnecessary, maybe understandable, but unnecessary accretion on your mental life, and the only thing it does is add stress. The only thing it does is endanger your tranquility. Go with habit, cultivate habit, you're already pretty much doing it. So that's the first key to living life with no belief. We're going to see the second two and wrap up Pyrrhonian skepticism in the next video. Thanks.